You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hey, Rifters, welcome to the show. Alan Lee is finally back with us. Alan, how are you, buddy?
I am fantastic. I wasn't really on a vacation per se. It was a staycation. I stayed in my apartment. I could show you stuff that I have. I have the new Batman Dark Knight. I did spend some money on this, but I had to have it. It's Dark Knight. I have it right here if you want to see it. It's beautiful. And I haven't even put him on the horse yet. He rode a horse. And, I've been watching my weight. I went to a buffet at Westminster, over by you, by the way, last night.
And you didn't come visit me.
No, I ate and I got out of there. Westminster was the first mall I went to when I moved to California. I was in a hotel across the street, and it was fun. I like Huntington Beach.
Yeah. Well, you should have come visit me. You've missed like 4 or 5 episodes, and now you're back. This is like the jump. I think the last time we had you on was with Tommy Chong.
That's correct.
Right?
I don't know how many episodes was that ago. You can't tell me it was 4 or 5.
Yeah, it was 4 or 5. You've missed some adventures, buddy.
4?
Yeah, you've missed some adventures, but you're here today.
Yes, that's all that counts.
That's the important thing.
Thank you. And right? I'm glad to be here. And
Did you ever get Gary Busey?
I'm still working on that. Stop bugging me.
All right.
It's not an easy task.
The fans at home wanted to know if you got Gary Busey yet.
Gary and I haven't spoken for a couple of years, but I know I can get him. He's somewhere in Malibu, I think. And I'll be going up there. I used to go to Malibu a lot for my acting classes with Jeff Corey. So I know Malibu. So I'll find him. But he lives kind of in the woods and stuff. And I'm not a guy that goes out in the woods. Nor are you. So I don't like going out in the woods.
Well, anyways, it doesn't matter. We don't want Gary Busey. We want Alan Lee. So, Alan, it's good to see you again. And I'm kind of disappointed you didn't come visit me yesterday. But
listen,
that's another conversation for another day.
I had to eat and run because I had to go to the restroom. And then I jumped in my car and I was trapped. That's a lot of food.
Was there a lot of traffic coming back?
No, thank God, because I really had to go to the restroom afterwards, and foolishly I didn't there. And that mall, it's a long way. I took some route. That's a gigantic fucking mall.
Do you think in the future cars are going to have toilets on them?
Why they don't and why they never did is an excellent question. And
because I feel that's not just a you problem. I feel everyone goes through that where they're rushing to go to the bathroom and maybe like, you know what I mean?
Well, our trip to Las Vegas, remember when a fellow comic, which will remain nameless, although his name is Steven, he had to urinate, and was that a big goal? Was that?
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. Is like, do you think cars in the future will have that?
Well, why don't they have it now? And the thing is they're afraid. They're afraid to do that because it's accidents. Not car accidents, but accidents inside the car.
Yeah.
So say you have a kid and he's tied up.
A bathroom accident.
Yeah, you're urinating and it all falls on your son or your daughter in the front seat there. That's not nice.
Yeah.
That's it now.
Especially if you really loved them.
Yeah, I know, you twisted motherfucker. I know you have a lot of issues.
All right. So we got a great show going on. Our guest is going to be here momentarily, so we got to give him a great intro. You see him on The Simpsons, Growing Pains, the TV show Make Me Laugh. Comedy legend Bruce Baum is going to be here, and he's going to be riffing with us. And he has 2 new movies coming out. One called Faith Wins that also stars Rich Little, our buddy Rich Little.
Which was Rich loves us.
Yeah, Rich loves us.
He was on our show, obviously.
Yeah. And then his second movie is called Easy Lion with the great Rick Overton, who I interviewed. I think that was one of the ones where you were in New York visiting your mom. But it's going to be great. 2 movies, and Bruce Baum is here today to talk about that.
Fantastic.
He also has hot sauce that he sells.
Are you? No, really.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of hot sauce.
Yeah. What do you like hot sauce on?
I like it on my eggs. Obviously, I like it on burritos. I sometimes put it on steak and hamburgers.
All right.
How about you?
I just whatever. I'm not really a big hot sauce fan.
No. I'll answer the question.
I'm not a big hot sauce fan. I like mild sauce. Hot sauce I can't handle.
Oh.
But
Well,
if he sold mild sauce, I'd be buying that all day.
unless it's on fries. I'm sorry.
Bruce is here. Are you ready to meet him?
I am.
All right.
Yeah.
Folks, welcome to Bruce Baum.
Wow. I never thought this would happen.
He's connecting his audio. That's the one thing about Zoom is it takes a minute for the audio to appear and then the video to appear.
You're not a software engineer.
No, but that's how it is. Hey, Bruce, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good. Am I too early?
Look at this.
No, you're right on time. We just gave you a sweet intro.
No, we had Tommy Chong, one of your friends, on last week.
Oh, wow.
No, Bruce, this is Alan Lee, the trusty sidekick.
Glad to meet you. I followed you since I was a child. Well, I'm just joking.
Well,
a long
I must
time.
have been I was a child too. How's my background look? Because
your background's fine. We don't release the video unless you want us to. We just release audio.
This audio.
I don't mind. But we're getting the house renovated, so everything's all over the place.
Beautiful.
No wall hangings are up, so I tried to pick a background that would.
Looks nice. I like
Is that
those.
okay? That part of it is done.
I'm really impressed with your hat. I like your hat.
Thanks. I didn't know whether to wear it or not, so I may do half of it with the hat and half of it without.
Nice.
Because, by the way, I do have a full head of hair. This is spray on scalp. That way I don't have to mess with, hair.
Yeah. Now, Bruce, we've been trying to set this up for, I would say, at least a good 6 or 7 months, and we finally got it down.
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
That's so.
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to be able to talk about stuff that I haven't talked about in all the other ones.
Oh.
I needed to accumulate some time to do stuff, and now I've got a full load.
Yeah. So the things we're going to talk about is your 2 new movies that are out. But before I ask you about those, I wanted to ask you, is it easier for you to be interviewed by comics or by regular people?
Usually, as long as they're paying attention, a lot, sometimes people, and this goes with radio folks too, and there's some great ones.
Yeah.
Done a lot of podcasts, but when they ask a question and they're not listening, they're doing something else. That's not too good. But generally speaking, it does, as long as I hate to favor one over the other, as long as someone's interesting and has good questions and participates in the laughter giving and getting, then I'm good.
It's all the same to you, right?
Or close to the same.
Now, the 2 movies that you got coming out, I did my research. One you told me about, the other I had to go dig on the internet to find. But you have a movie coming out called Izzy Lion, right?
It's Izzy Lion.
Lion.
The Unspun Truth. It's out right now. This is why I delayed this, because it came out November 4th. It's on Amazon. They did a preview in Chicago in a theater. But it's on Amazon. It's on Vudu, iTunes, and it's IZZY is the first name, and Lion, LYON.
Yeah.
And what it is, it's a mockumentary about the world's greatest sign spinner, who all of a sudden disappears. I play his manager, and Greg Proops is in it. Rick Overton is in it.
We love Rick.
There's a lot of people that you look at and you Jeff Davis from Who's Line. So Lang Parker, there's a lot of comics and a lot of improv comics and a lot of really good actors. And it was fun to shoot. We had a lot of freedom, and it's out. So it's a good chuckle.
Yeah.
You know, if you got I went on Amazon to buy it, and was it Amazon? Yeah.
They don't give it to you for free?
I could have had. I mean, I'll probably get one from the producers.
Yeah.
But I wanted to support it. I also wanted it here. So when people come over, I don't have to buy it over and over. But the rental price. So,
Right.
But it was a fun movie to shoot. It's about a sign spinner and there's lots of mockumentary stuff in it. They talk about the British invasion of the sign spinners, that had different groups, and there were funny names for the groups.
Yeah.
Like Jerry and the sign spinners instead of, I don't know how far back you guys go. So
I'm 87. Alan's age we still don't know, but
well, we cut him in half, we can cut the rings.
Now, you said you play a manager in this. So like how did you like get into that character because you're a comic? So did you just like use like your previous managers and then put it all in one?
Well, the schlocky ones. They put the schlocky ones all in one.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a schlocky, over the top manager, car wash owner. So, and I discover the sign spinner in front of my car wash.
Yeah.
He goes on to, selling out stadiums, and then there's he sign spins and actually spins them so fast he can fly.
Oh my God.
And there's a rival who leads to his disappearance, and then there's a small group of us, his leader of his fan club and myself and a few other people that try to find him and get him in the Spinternational Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So I hope I didn't give away too much. Now you know everything.
No, that sounds. I heard that people rather watch something where they know the ending. You know what I mean? So they could watch it instead of it. Like they enjoy spoilers. That's what I heard.
Well, I didn't give away the ending, but talking about that, I got to tell you the thing that probably might contradict that. Years ago, my wife and I were in a theater, and on comes the trailer for Titanic.
Oh my God.
And I tell my wife, this is going to be the biggest bomb Hollywood has ever seen. Everybody knows how it ends. Why would anybody go to this? I said, and how do you make it romantic? I said, this is going to be, so I can always point to that as I'm not always right. So,
but I think the big surprise in that movie was they made Leo die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's actually going to survive. I don't know. But
well, years from now, they can do a sequel. He's frozen. They unthaw him. They learn how to bring him back to life.
It's a good premise.
I'll tell you, talking about freezing, my uncle just paid to have cryogenics done. That's where they freeze you when you die till they find out what you died from.
Right.
And yesterday he died of hypothermia.
Do you believe in that whole freezing thing? Because I heard Walt Disney's frozen and he's just waiting to,
Right. Walt.
Yeah, that's what they say. They say he's frozen. Hey, give it a try.
Nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to actually be able to try it as the Arctic starts unfreezing, starts melting. They're going to find animals, mastodons and people. I think they found a few already. You might thaw them out. They pop up and go, what the? And then pass them.
Yeah. See, if I were to get frozen, that would be the thing that scares me is like, say I'm frozen under a rock or something and a spider comes into my frozen cube or whatever, you know what I mean? And I get all mutated and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
I wouldn't want that.
Well,
That's like-
wow.
you could buy those, remember? You could buy the fly in them. They were plastic.
Yeah.
Oh, very good
Well,
idea.
For a spider to go through ice like that,
It's gotta be an amazing ice spider.
I guess the only way it could do that is piss, and it'll like go away a little bit, then stand there and piss some more. It would take like spider piss to like work its way down in.
Spider piss. And then the other movie that you have coming on, which I had to dig in, is called Faith Wins, and it's with the great Rich Little.
He's in it. Rich Natoli's in it. John.
Wow.
There's a lot of good people. It's a faith-based film. I think I'm the only Jew in the film, but it's not heavy-handed.
Yeah.
It's a very light, faith-based film. Very well done. It was done on a very low budget. But I've seen the preview. There was a preview in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and it played very well. And that, I think, comes out in January or February.
Oh, okay.
In that one, I play kind of one of the leaders of a homeless encampment. So that's actually, to be honest with you, which up to now I haven't been, to be honest with you, I normally can't watch myself on film.
Yeah, neither can I. Yeah.
But this Faith Wins. Even my wife said, "Hey, you can act." She never likes my acting.
Yeah.
So that was. I had a lot of fun shooting it, and yeah, it's a fun little film.
Now, you talked about how like this one's an independent film, and you've done both from independent and mainstream. I wanted to ask you, because you did at UCLA, you did your own student films, which is probably independent. So like, how do you transition to that? Like, do you feel when you see a script or something, you know it's going to work out?
Well, when I was at UCLA Film School, I made my own films, and my student films had Robin Williams, Dave Letterman, Jeff Altman, because all of us were working at the store. Nobody really knew who we were. This is like 76 to 78. So, it's loaded with guys that went on to be Saget, Shanling, guys that went on to become huge. And I still actually shoot my own stuff. As a matter of fact, I have a channel on YouTube called Personal Stash. And it's all the stuff that I own, that I've shot over the years. I've got pieces. I've got one piece called Clown Away that's got George Carlin, Bob Saget, Gary Shandling, Carrie Snow, Bill Kirchenbauer. So a lot of the stuff I just shoot on my own, whether I green light myself. If nobody else gets me, I green light me. And so I had a bunch of stuff. And I haven't pushed it as hard as I can. There's 10 little episodes. Each one's 3 or 4 minutes of sketches that you can't see anywhere else. And then I also, for 4 years, was at Comic Strip Live, Sunday Comics, and America's Funniest People. And I did my own film once a week for them, or a live piece on stage. So, I enjoy doing short sketches a lot. That's kind of my forte in the realm that I work in, even though I'm working on screenplays. A lot of things are just a bunch of great scenes strung together. So
nice.
But as far as one or the other, you have more freedom on an indie. You have more freedom on something I'm shooting. And when you're doing a studio thing, you're a hired gun, and you do it, try to give the director what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're not considered a difficult person to work with.
So it's kind of like if you were in Titanic, you couldn't say, "I don't want to die."
Yeah.
They'd be like,
What do you say? What do you say we don't sink the ship? What do you say the iceberg splits and we just kind of go right through? Anybody up for that? Huh?
Hard to work with a guy like that.
Now, Bruce, I saw a stand-up bit you did where the great Don Rickles introduced you.
Oh, that was a great bit. God, that was good.
And I wanted to ask you, like, do you remember when that happened? Like, were you intimidating that Don Rickles is introducing you? Because I'd be scared.
No, it was, I grew up listening to Don Rickles. I remember as a teenager, a buddy of mine and myself would listen to Don Rickles records, in the bedroom with the door closed, laughing or actually covering our mouths so the parents didn't come in and say, "What are you guys laughing so hard at?" But I, would get Don Rickles or Red Fox records, and we would just bust. Back then it was like just laughing because you got to hear dirty words.
Right.
And with Rickles, it was the insults. As a matter of fact, the first comics I ever saw live, my parents used to go to Vegas a lot. But back in those days, you could only sit by the pool or watch TV in your room. You weren't allowed to even walk through the casino. But they took me to see Red Skelton one night. And I remember laughing. I'm a little kid at that point, maybe 7 or 8.
So who was your first comic you saw?
Yeah, it was Red Skelton live. But my parents, when I was growing up, if we were in bed and there was a comic on TV, my dad would yell up, "There's a comic on. If you're still awake, you can come down and watch him, and then it's right back to bed." So laughter was a big thing in our house. Being a comic wasn't even a choice.
Right.
But I saw Red Skelton, and then the next night, my parents took me to see Buddy Hackett, who is like the totally opposite of Red Skelton.
Yeah.
And then you're laughing because you're hearing, dirty words and dirty concepts. So it was a neat experience that I remember. I mean, I can still see them on stage. Don't remember all their bits, although I do remember Buddy Hackett did a bit about taking a leak with Tom Jones. He says it looked like he had a frog in his pants, with it jumping around all over the place. But that's all I remember. And that had to be like, over 60 years ago. But that bit I remember. With my dad always calling us down to watch comedians, eventually, when I was in college, I had planned on becoming an attorney.
Right.
Got my BA in political science. Then I went to film school at UCLA, a graduate film school. And, I a couple of years ago, they did, every year they do this, the most depressed professions. And for years, dentist was number one. It was either number one or number two. I don't know, it was because they wish they were a doctor or they're just looking in mouths. I think they got it easy. They only got to learn from here to here.
Right.
And they don't have to fuck with the tongue. Okay, so
that's a different type of doctor, isn't it?
Yeah, tongue doctor.
Yeah.
You should see, as long as I'm learning about the teeth, teach me about the tongue. If it's really bad, they have to send you to a specialist. So maybe that's what depresses them, is all they're really allowed to do is pull teeth and fill cavities. But a couple of years ago, comedian came across as the most depressed profession, to which I thought it was an acclaim, because when I started, we weren't even a profession.
Right.
Now at least we're a profession, a recognized profession that can become depressed. So I looked at it as a landmark, not a something you want to be sorry about.
Well, see, that was one question I did want to ask you, because you started when you started, there's maybe, I don't know, 20 comedians probably that were known, right? And then you start, and then the comedy boom happens, and then there's more comedians. And now you're in the comedy today's day. Like, what styles are you seeing that comedians are doing different or the same? Because I feel there's a lot of hack comics right now.
That was my question.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't like to badmouth anybody in the media. If we're ever sitting down having drinks, name names. But back when I started, everybody kind of knew each other, and you knew every gig that was available because there wasn't that many. And if I may be so bold, and I think I'm going to be, what really started the comedy boom, I believe, I don't know if you remember a show called Make Me Laugh.
Yeah,
Yes, that
you
was
were
my-
on that.
You
was
were
on
on that.
that.
It was great.
Quite a bit.
That was
Gallagher.
fantastic.
That was Gallagher, Shandling, Steve Bluestein, Denny
Kirkenbaum,
Johnson,
Kirkenbaum,
Bill Kirkenbauer,
Bauer.
and we're very good friends. Saget, Shandling. I don't want to leave any, but Vic Dunlop.
Yeah.
And so up to that point, if you were on TV, say The Tonight Show or Merv Griffin, and you went to work the next morning and say, hey, did you see that guy on Merv Griffin or The Tonight Show last night? Oh, gee, I missed him. Well, he'll be back in a couple months. Try to catch him. And that was that. With Make Me Laugh, you were on Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
If someone went to work on Tuesday morning and said, Jesus, did you see that guy on Make Me Laugh last night? Or the comics on Make Me Laugh? No. Well, they're on again tonight. Yeah. So by Friday, you could see the numbers were going up if it was a good week. And clubs started opening up. There was Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle, and then there was the Cleveland Comedy Club. Those opened up first, and they were only using basically guys from Make Me Laugh because we were only taping about 2 weeks in advance. So you could plug your gigs. They'd be sold out by the time you got there. And they were all using the 8 or 9 guys that were regulars on Make Me Laugh, wow. Which meant we were going back every 6 or 8 weeks, and you had to write new material and all sorts of stuff. So, but then when everybody saw how successful the clubs were in Michigan and Ohio, they started spreading out. There came the Funny Bone came after that. So I believe Make Me Laugh was a catalyst. Now they drew their talent from the Comedy Store, right. Basically, and some guys from the East and some guys from the Improv. But the Comedy Store was basically the bullpen that they went to. Gary Mulder was another one who did the show. I don't want to leave. I'm sure I'll think of others. But that kind of proliferated the clubs because there were names on TV that where the show was popular, people knew. You could plug it immediately. And everybody, those days were crazy. It was like rock and roll. You'd go to like Cleveland, there'd be people at the airport waiting for you. I'd never seen anything. You're coming from the Comedy Store, where you're not, and all of a sudden there's people. So yeah, it was. I remember the first time I played Cleveland, I pulled in. They picked me up from the airport, and they said it was a 350 seat room, and it was like a banquet room at a big restaurant. And there were 2
Which is probably a lot back then because now that's like a normal club.
350 seats, 2 shows a night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I said, geez, have they sold anything? He said, well, we've got some seats left for the second show Sunday. And that was the first time I realized the power of television. Yeah. God, you're used to playing the Comedy Store and all of us. And the same thing happened in Detroit. People like Bob Seger would come to your show. That got out, and it just blossomed. And then it kind of centered around Ohio, other than the coasts, because you had the Improv on the East, the Comedy Store on the West, and a couple little clubs here and there, the Punchline in San Francisco. But up till then, there was no like road. And all of a sudden there was a road. Now, like I said before, you knew every comic and every gig. You can open up the paper or the internet for Los Angeles, and there's more comics and more gigs in any one night than there were back then. Just across the country.
And I feel nowadays it hurts because I'm in the type of my career where everyone I toured with, they died. So like now I'm kind of like, where am I going to go? You know what I mean? And I feel like people don't want me because they just took me because the guys I toured with brought me in. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like that's just, it's a very hard comedy game now, when back then all you had to do was be funny and it was word of mouth.
Yeah. Well, they don't have the same kind of people running clubs. The manager was the owner and the booker and was there almost every night. But getting back to Rickles, if I may I?
Yeah, definitely.
I will. Always love Rickles. I thought you couldn't be him today.
Right.
That's the amazing thing.
That's true.
But I remember when we were rehearsing for the special, I got picked for the special, and we were rehearsing in Los Angeles a dance number, which aren't on most comedy specials. And we're rehearsing the dance. We get done. I go and sit down, and a lady sitting next to me says, "Wow, you look just like my husband would look if he had to do this." I said, "Oh, is your husband in the business?" She goes, "Yeah, he's a comedian." I go, "Oh, what's his name? Maybe I know him." She says, "George Carlin."
Oh my God.
He said, "Know him?" I said, I am, whenever I'm asked in an interview, my influences, it's Groucho Marx, Bugs Bunny, and George Carlin. It's so I got to be friends with George Carlin through that also. That was a real kick. He's in some of my sketches and my film, The Adventures of Baby Man. So that was quite an experience. Neither one of them are with us still, but they were wonderful people. George was such a sweetheart. And I actually shot a piece at his house called Clown Away. And the clowns were Bill Kirchenbauer, who else? Bill Kirchenbauer, Dick Bright, who's a phenomenal musician from up north, and a couple other comics.
Was Saget a clown?
Yes, Saget was a clown. Did I not say Saget?
He strikes me as a good clown.
He was a clown. Carlin was one of the clowns. And during one of our breaks, unbeknownst to me, they went into George's backyard and they were rolling a joint. And also unbeknownst to me, his daughter, Kelly, who at the time was maybe, I'm guessing 13, 14, 15, was videotaping through her window these clowns rolling a joint and smoking it. This is before Shakes the Clown.
Right.
And we kid each other whenever we see each other. She goes, I've got that tape somewhere. So, yeah. So
now, do you have all these like tapes that you did like on your YouTube that people can go see it at Bruce's YouTube?
Yeah, you can go to the easiest way is because if you just do my name, you got to scroll a ways. I don't know why.
All the way down the archives.
That's their algorithm. If you go to brucebaum.com, there's a button there that'll take you there. Oh. And if you just go to YouTube and put in personal stash, if there's any other personal stashes, I'll be one of the first ones there, and it'll be me with this hat. And then you can go to there. So yeah, it's personal stash on YouTube, and it's right now. I'm working on season 2.
Yeah,
which will feature what I call facial reviews, and that's while one person eats, the other person reviews by their face how good the food is.
Oh my God.
Cool.
Speaking of food, if I may be so bold once again.
Hot sauce?
Yes.
Yeah.
I make a hot sauce. I make this, it was totally accidental. I had head and neck cancer in 2012 and got through it and survived, and they say I'm cured. So, but when I got better, I ate better, I exercised, and I found out that hot peppers were a good antioxidant.
Right.
So I couldn't find any organic hot peppers. So I grew my own. And then after a couple of years, I made a hot sauce. And I would take it to radio stations just in a jar with a Sharpie that said Noggin Blast. And they kept saying, "Why aren't you selling this? Why aren't you?" So I tried it, and man, it just took off. So I grow everything organically. Mm-hmm. Everything else is organically certified. Every plant is in its own grow bag and in a pot that rests in. So the underground stuff can't get to it. So if you go to nogginblast.com now, you'll see our holiday offerings. We've got ghost pepper from Christmas past.
Whoa.
We've got come all ye peppers and blueberries and Noggin Blast too. And then I've started making a rub. This is the regular rub. It's not hot, but what I do is I put a ghost pepper in every bottle, kind of like the worm and tequila. And that way, if it's not hot enough for you, you can crinkle some of the ghost pepper into it. And you don't have to put water.
That's the one I would probably try because I'm not a big hot sauce guy. I like the mild,
Well, yeah, I just sold out of a mild one. It was Serrano cherry. Was it?
Oh,
Serrano?
nice.
Oh,
Or was it Serrano blue? Whatever. And then this is the holiday seasoning. Just put a little extra cinnamon and nutmeg in this, but it's not hot. I didn't want someone to put it on their meat or fish or vegetables or another person, and then go, I've ruined it. It's way too hot. This way you can use the hot sauce to dip a piece in when you're done, or if it's not hot enough, go to your ghost pepper. So,
I just thought of a funny joke when you said or another person. I was thinking because I just finished watching Jeffrey Dahmer. I was like, oh, Dahmer, I call you.
that would be nice.
how many people did he eat?
Oh,
I don't know. You know how like Netflix kind of like makes more victims for the story. You know what I mean? But
I think he ate like 35 people.
35.
Yeah.
35.
I ate a lot. Yeah.
I can understand one or two, but 35, you're eating just to eat.
But if he had your hot sauce, maybe that's why.
There you go. At least slow him up a little bit. Maybe bring somebody back to life too.
Hot cryogenics.
Yeah.
Now you kind of skimmed through Baby Man, but I wanted to ask you about that. Like, what gave you that idea to do that?
Great character.
Well, this was way back before Make Me Laugh. This had to be like 78, 79 at the Westwood Comedy Store. I was just thinking to myself, okay, what would look funny? I was, right now I don't do all props. I do a lot of stand-up, but back then I had a lot of props.
Right.
And I thought, well, I could spoof the superhero genre, but I don't want to just do I want to do, if I'm going to spoof, it can't be someone that could, save people as they were falling, but he might be able to fix a parking ticket.
Right.
So I thought Baby Man. So I put on a diaper underneath my clothes. I used to come out, if you saw the Don Rickles thing, with a giant orange bag. I would go in fully clothed and go in to impersonate a stand-up carrot. And then when I was done, I would say, when you're in a fix, when you're in a bind, there's only one crime fighter to call. And I would drop the bag and I would be there in my diapers without really moving the bag that much. And that got a big laugh. And then I wrote bits for it. The very first night I did it in Westwood, Sissy Spacek and Piper Laurie were in the crowd. I think it was right after Carrie or another movie they did together. And it just killed, unlike it maybe ever did before. Back in those days, the world was our playground. You could say or do almost anything on stage. There's things I did on stage then that I could never do now. So yeah, it killed. And then I had to go home and write more pieces for it.
Do you think that the Adventures of Baby Man kind of like inspired the Captain Underpants series?
I've often wondered that because I had a comic book. It's in the other room, but I got a comic book, The Adventures of Baby Man, Born to be Raised. I had an album, Born to be Raised, as with some Baby Man songs, The Ballad of Baby Man and Born to be Raised. It was something. And then after a number of years, because I didn't want to get known as just Baby Man.
Right.
So I kind of dumped it, and I still used props and still got big laughs. And now nobody, I'm sure, wants to see me in diapers. Although in a few years I may be.
And then you also write a lot of books. You wrote one called On Hold, right? Where
I wrote On Hold, which I only wrote when I was on hold.
Yeah.
I would come back. I would do quick thoughts while I was on hold. Thoughts like the Bible says an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But what happens if you get beat up by a blind, toothless guy? Can you just give him a wedgie and call it even? So,
I didn't want to bring this up because it just happened, but Gallagher just passed, and with your hat, you look like Gallagher.
Well, I should, I could send you a picture of him and I if you can insert it, because we were good friends. We started out together. I would say from about 75 through the 80s, we hung out.
Yeah.
I introduced him to his wife. We when he had a girl, the woman before that, my wife and I, we socialized with them. Did Make Me Laughs, different weeks, but we came to each other's tapings.
Yeah.
And, over the last decade or two, we've seen each other on the road or talked on the phone or through Facebook, but it hasn't been like it was. He was brilliant, but he was one of the oddest cats around. He was, but Vic Dunlop was a good friend of his, Bill Kirkenbauer, but Gallagher was a strange guy, but I liked him. I got along with him. And like I said, in the early days, I remember he got his second spot on the Tonight Show. He got bumped. I think it was a Valentine's Day. He got bumped for Steve Martin. And he says to me, and Steve Martin was playing the Troubadour at the time. He says, let's go over to I want to see this guy I got bumped for. So we went to the Troubadour and watched Steve Martin. I laughed hysterically. He did his Gallagher sitting there like this. He was brilliant. He figured out Carson didn't like prop comics, but he got on by making the Tonight Show home game.
Right.
Came on with a briefcase, opened it up, the desk and Johnny popped up. So
I actually almost have a cool Steve Martin story, but Alan Lee is the reason why I don't have the story.
I'm
Alan,
sorry.
you want to tell Bruce how you messed this story up?
Well, we were with Norm Macdonald in San Diego. What's that club? Right there in the center of the
American Comedy Club. Yeah.
Yeah. And Norm was saying, hey, hang out with us, which we did. And, well, he's wonderful to hang out with, obviously. And he said, and I looked at my watch and we stayed, and I said, I don't want to take up your time. I said, let's get going. So he later calls back and he tells Keith, well, why did you guys leave so early? I had a guest coming and we were all going to sit down and enjoy each other. And that guest happened to be Steve Martin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, that's how it goes when,
So I remember because at the time I was one of Norm's openers, so I was furious with Alan. I was like, Steve Martin could have saw me.
Well, it's maybe it was a good thing.
Have you ever heard the story Norm Macdonald told about me on the Daily Show?
No.
He's much better at telling it than I am.
Yeah.
You went to Comedy Central, did more, or if you just did Norm Macdonald, Bruce Baum would probably pop up on YouTube. But he's talking about how he was I did a film years ago called Candyland with a K. And it was kind of like the best way to describe it is the flash dance for strippers. So there was a lot. It was hard R. I mean, there was tits and ass, but there was no insertions and stuff like that.
Right.
and no frontal male nudity. And I played the DJ at the strip club. Once again, I was the only guy that didn't get naked. So Norm Macdonald says, and I know when people have seen that film because they come up to me and they go, I was in a hotel room last night. And I go, Candyland. So, so this was back in the days where they would give you previews.
Right.
The movies they had available that you had to pay for. And Norm's talking about if you plan it just right, you don't have to watch the movie. The trailer can get you off. He said, so I'm sitting there getting excited and, I'm just about ready. He said, they're showing the girls and it had Sandahl Bergman in it, if you remember her, and one of the Playmates of the Year. And he goes, so I'm sitting there and he's doing a hand motion there. You know what it is. He goes, and all of a sudden, Bruce Baum comes on the screen. He goes, not only can I not watch a movie in a hotel anymore, but I can't call Bruce.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah. Norm was a beautiful man. He was one of my best friends. So
It's a shame what we've lost this year is a real tragedy because we've lost heavy hitters, influential heavy hitters.
Well, not just that, just beautiful people. I mean, Saget he had the heart full of gold too. You know what I mean? Like,
I was an usher at his wedding. I've been back with Saget into the 70s also. Him and I were extremely close. And then you get to the later years when everybody's on the road and you don't see each other as often. But we were always talking through, emails and stuff. So that one was tough because that just shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
He was such a good guy. That was one of the hardest ones, if not the hardest one.
Yeah, when Norm passed, Saget called and texted me once a week until Saget passed just to see how I was doing. Wow. So it was just,
yeah.
So I have one more question for you, and I know Alan has one more question for you, but I wanted to ask you about The Simpsons. So like that, because like that's a show where, you probably, whatever, you could care less, but like for people my generation, that was like the show. You know
no, that was for me too.
Oh, okay.
I go to a buddy's house and we watch football, and when it's all over, The Simpsons, we haven't done it lately since the pandemic, but before that, and I was a big fan of The Simpsons. So when my manager at the time called and said, by the way, it was, Steve Sharippa is from the Sopranos. He played Bobby Bacala. Anyway, he was managing me, and I also gave him his first film break. But anyway, he calls and says, The Simpsons want you to do an episode. And I said, well, where do I go to audition? He says, it's not an audition. They've asked you to do it. And I said, fucking A. I said, don't blow it. I said, I don't care what the money is,
Right.
So I got to do it as me. People, when I tell people I was on The Simpsons, or they get to, oh, really? What did you play? I can proudly say I was me, because that not only validated me with my kids, but growing up on Bugs Bunny, I remember when they did a Bing Crosby character or a Frank Sinatra character in cartoon.
Right.
And that makes you live on, My biggest thrill on that episode was at the very beginning. They say, there's a comedy festival in Springfield, and they list all the comics, and I'm not on the bottom. That was my.
Who was on the bottom? Do you remember?
I have to go again. I don't want to. Even if I knew, I'd probably go, I don't remember. I've got a picture, and I'm going to put it up on the wall when I can start putting stuff on the wall again. But I forgot. I was so enthralled with me being. I think Leno was the first one.
Right.
And the other people on the episode were Bobcat Goldthwait, Janine Garofalo. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I am.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not the bottom.
It's so funny when they do, because I assume that joke was for like what they do on festivals where they put like all the name comics, and then on the bottom they'll say, and some other guy.
Right. Special guest could change. That means it's not booked yet.
And the other guy is for if one of these guys call out sick. Alan, you got any last second questions for Bruce?
Well, it's kind of an analytical deal that I've watched his routines, and what always got me was how his props contained the premise and the punchline in the prop, and I was totally fascinated by that, and that's why I thought he was different than Gallagher, because the prop would be like the setup and the punchline almost simultaneously. It was to blow my mind. So I just wanted to compliment you on that. And, it was really, it was one of my favorite things to watch how you would do that. It was like a magic trick. And, on the movie where you played Ty, the rodeo clown.
Shakes the Clown.
Yes, Bob Goldthwait. When that was cast, it has such a wide range of people in it. In fact, Paul Dooley was one of our guests who played Owen Cheese. And was there a process to that, or was just that you knew each other? I mean, it's just a throw out there. I mean, casting is casting. But anyway, I was just curious.
There was, and that was Adam Sandler. I think that was his first film.
That's right.
I went in and read for a part, and I think I got this part instead. So I think he was bringing people in that he knew and had them read. I might have read a couple parts. I might have read that one too.
Oh, interesting.
But it was basically, let me see what my friends can do, and I'll slide them in where they work, or whether he had specific. I think I read for more than one part, and I don't know if Ty the Rodeo Clown was the main one. It might have been, but it was very, it was comfortable. And then the set, Bob lets you, as soon as he gets what he wants, lets you go ahead and improvise, add, subtract, whatever. So it was and plus there were comics around all the time. Blake Clark, guys from the store that you worked with. And funniest thing though, I worked on Comic Strip Live, and I couldn't get Adam Sandler on the show. He doesn't know this. I don't think I've even said this. But they weren't crazy. There were lots of guys. I said, because we did an episode where they had all the guys from Comic Strip Live from Shake the Clown on.
Oh, interesting.
Bobcat was on. Tom Kinney. Tom Kinney was in the movie, who's now the voice of SpongeBob.
Oh,
and a ton of other stuff. So he kind of stopped doing stand-up, but he was a force. He's from San Francisco. But yeah, it was and such fun to shoot, and usually people, I'll tell you a story about Shakes the Clown. When the movie came out, there were clowns coming onto the morning shows, and this is disgraceful. We don't smoke, we don't swear, we don't do drugs.
Oh,
no, this is terrible. So I'm playing the Riviera in Las Vegas that week. The film is opening that week, and there's a clown convention. So during the day, there's in the big, halls there's clowns selling fake noses and ties, and there's gigs and people to hire people. So at night, I tell the MC, because the clowns are like a big part of who's at the hotel, don't mention I'm in Shakes the Clown on my intro.
Right.
I lose the crowd. Film just opened and I can't mention it.
Right.
So I go back to my room one night. This is after the clowns have all said we don't swear or cuss. And there's an earthquake. I guess it was centered in Big Bear. And I've been through enough earthquakes living in LA, and I was in the San Francisco one, that I just I was up on higher floor and just kind of opened my door to see how much the building was shaking. Was it safe? I opened the door, and these clowns must have just finished their last seminar or whatever. But there's like 15 clowns running up and down the stairs with their shirt off, but their big shoes still on, their nose on, but their pants off, their pants on, but their hats off, all running, going, the fuck are we going to do? What the fuck is this? Where do we go? And it was before cell phones, or I would have it on film.
That's funny. What the fuck?
Now, Bruce, we want to respect your time, but where can the folks at home follow and support you?
Well, on Instagram, I'm at Bruce Baum Comic. On Facebook, I'm Bruce Baum. Yeah, I'm Bruce Baum. And on YouTube, you can get me at Personal Stash. I've got 10 little sketches from season 1. If you want hot sauce, you want to go to Noggin Blast, NOGGINBLAST.com, and you can put yourself on the mailing list. I don't give it to anybody else. It's actually guarded with somebody else's life.
Oh, cool.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think anything else would sound like I'm trying to hawk stuff.
Are you gonna? I'm sorry. I know I said I had no more questions, but are you gonna go back? Since things are opening up, to doing the comedy again, like full swing?
Yeah, but I'm trying to put together a one-man show.
Oh,
So kind of give a history and still be funny about it, and go through and talk about some of the stuff we've talked about, and also do stand-up, have video, make it a multimedia presentation. So I'm working on that. Again, I want, when I started in comedy, we were different.
Right.
There was nobody else doing it. It was a handful of guys. And now I still want to be a comedian. I still want to make people laugh, but I'm not crazy about the traveling and the time off stage. So I'm going to try to do it more with videos, film, the internet, and then go out and do a one-man show once all that's going.
Awesome.
Sounds like a great plan.
Well, Bruce, thanks so much for riffing with us. It was awesome.
Thanks. Sorry it took so long.
Oh, no, it was awesome.
I didn't have to repeat myself like I did on other shows.
Fantastic.
Well, we hope you had fun, and we hope you'd come back sometime.
I did, and I will.
Awesome. Well, Bruce, have a great day, and we'll talk to you later, buddy.
Thank you, Bruce.
Happy everything.
All right, Rifters. That was an interview with Bruce Baum. Subscribe, rate, review, and we'll see you guys next week. Alan, you got anything to say to the folks at home before we jet out?
Peace out and respect clowns.
See you guys next week.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.